Please rise in body or spirit. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlight from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung from completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's flame. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's new creation of a new day. Thank you. Please be seated.
Oh my. Good morning. I'm John LaBarbera. My pronouns are he, they, and I am proud to be your worship associate today. Join me as we recite our covenant and Chris Fallon lights our chalice. If you are watching remotely and have a chalice of your own, please light it with us. Here you are. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant.
Welcome, 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 welcome to worship. No matter where you come from, how you worship, who you love, or how you identify. Welcome as we explore the mysteries of our human existence in the sacred space of community. We are so glad you're here. I'm Reverend Patrice Curtis. My pronouns are they conjugated, and it's an honor to serve you as your affiliate minister. I am so happy to announce that one of my Sunday morning commitments I made in 2020, which has made it difficult for me to be with you here most Sundays, has ended. I look forward to hearing Reverend Christine preach more Sundays, either in person or with you on Zoom. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, one that is theologically diverse, radically inclusive, and justice-centered. If you're new here, we are so glad you found us and hope that in this community you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Each Sunday is different here, so please come back a few times to really get to know us. Here at UUCP, we put our mission into action when we discovered together what it means to be human. We have a few announcements about the life of our community. Our framework team wants to thank everyone who participated in our dreaming sessions. We are still taking your big dreams if you haven't got to share them yet, but we're also moving to phase 2, where we take all your input and compile it into themes. Our civic engagement team would like to thank all who participated in making holiday cards for asylum seekers last Sunday. Over 100 cards were delivered to the nonprofit Florence Project to be passed along to immigration officials. During this holiday season, the UUCP refugee team encourages you to provide gift cards or funds for the Hamidis family, a family of 11 who arrived from Afghanistan in May that we are supporting. They have a lot of needs, and any help you can provide is welcome. They are in the back of the sanctuary this morning. Please stop by and say hello. And finally, a reminder that this Thursday at 6:30, we will have our Blue Holidays service led by soon-to-be Reverend Brigitte. 6:30 here and online.
Join us as we discover what it means to cultivate enough. Our opening words are from the Reverend Dr. Carolyn Sheets Owen Towle, who was Minister Emerita of First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego. Come into this house of worship. Come in bringing all of who you are. Rest and quiet your weak, worn spirit. For you are here to touch again eternal springs of hope and renewal. Calm your hurried pace. For this hour, let the cares, the fretfulness, and worry be set aside. Forgive yourself. You are so very worthy of moving on, of making new efforts, of trying again. Know that you are not alone. There is strength and caring support for you here. You will find comfort if you but ask. Look around. You are part of a potential community. You can make it what you will. Enter this house of worship. I now invite anyone who would like to come forward for Together Time. Thank you all so much for being here with us. I'm not really sure what I should do right now, but we are together, and that's all that matters, right? Thank you all so much for joining us here. When you think about what it means to be enough, what does that mean to you? Anyone? Yes, Pete.
It means to me that I'm happy with where I'm at, what I have, and I'm not thinking that I should have this or that I'm happy with where I'm at, and also thinking of making some progress, but not being hard on myself for not having what the Joneses have.
And that's good enough for me. Katie?
Thank you. Thank you so much, John, wherever you went. That was perfect. And Pete, that was absolutely perfect introduction for what I'm going to do today. And I want to say thank you all for your grace. Sometimes things go a little bit sideways and we keep going, and we're still good enough. I'm Katie. I'm the Director of Children's Ministry here at UUC Phoenix. And today I want to talk about a tool to use during a time that can be very busy. And this time of year can be really busy here in Arizona, and I'm going to say here in Arizona more than in other places. Because in other places, while they're getting ready to celebrate all of the holidays and have the end of the semester and do all of the other things, when they go home at night, it's dark, it's cold, they're in a cozy mood, right? And it's a lot easier when you're in a cozy mood, like we get in the summer, right? Go inside and get cozy. It's a lot easier to be calm in a cozy mood and deal with all of the stuff going on out there. But here in Arizona, it's nice out. And so it's the exciting time of year and it's the exciting weather, right? And we want to go outside and be on the playgrounds and we want to go to all the festivals. How many people attended a festival or a walk or a parade or something like that this weekend? Yeah, it's exciting. We're going to need some tools to help ourselves feel like we're enough, right? Because when we do lots of exciting things, we tend to feel spent out. I didn't eat breakfast, I put on 2 different shoes, I was so busy I forgot my backpack. All of those things happen. And when those things happen, in a lot of ways, we're taught to feel bad about ourselves, right? Oh my gosh, you put on 2 different shoes, that's ridiculous. And we start to put words in our heads like stupid, dumb, and worthless. And none of those words are true, right? I used to be the boss of 30 caseworkers, and I wore a suit every day and stilettos. Can you imagine? I like heels, but full makeup, everything, carried a briefcase, all of those things. My laptop went everywhere. And sometimes I had to meet very important people at the airport. Show me your very important people meeting face. Good, good. Very intimidating. Thank you. I feel so important. And one day, I had to go meet a family at the airport, and it was a big thing that had taken a long time to arrange and everything else, and we did it, and it was in December. It was on December 16th of that year. And we were driving back from the airport, and I was part of a group of cars escorting people, and I looked down at my feet, the gas pedal, through my steering wheel, and I saw that I had 2 different high heels on. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon at this point. I had had 2 different high heels on since about 6:30. Hadn't noticed. Sometimes we just do that, and sometimes it feels ridiculous, and sometimes it's a really good story. And sometimes years later, you find out that that Cuban 12-year-old that you were traveling with thought it was just an American thing. So the first tool we have is knowing that things make good stories and figuring out, yeah, I'm messing up right now, or right now is frustrating. Just start planning the story now. You don't have to tell it now, but think about it as once upon a time. You broke all the plates, washing up from a meal. Okay, before you even wipe them up or sweep, go, once upon a time, I was doing dishes and I failed. Or, boy, did I ever do the dishes. Just start telling your story. The other way is to tap into your sensory stuff. And so in this one, we're not going to walk through the whole thing. I want you to think about it as a skill, is to think about yourself as a seed. And you can pull in tight and you can feel your muscles tense and you can pull around your core. Or some people, when they feel like a seed, they kind of lay back. But think of all of the things around you that protect you and make that list in your head. And think of your little seed self and think of the things that nourish you. And that might be food and water and all of those things. But it might also be friendships, phone calls. It might be TV shows. It might be video games. Think of all those things. And then know this one thing. So if you're stressed out, you're doing that, think of your little seed self, and then tell yourself this: I'm a seed. I have no idea what kind of plant I'm going to be. Because the little baby seed in the ground doesn't know what kind of tree it's going to be. And it has no idea what it's like to be at the top of an oak. Right? And let yourself be that seed. And know that you can be that seed if you are a teeny tiny baby, like Matthew, or if you are 99, 102, 117 years old, you still get to be a seed. because this is the first time you've ever been that age, and you don't know where you're headed next. So even if you're stuck in all of the rituals and routines and traditions of this year, like every Hanukkah we do this, and this year I messed up and forgot to put tinfoil under the Hanukkah. That's my favorite part of Hanukkah, is watching everyone's tinfoil architecture underneath. Oh man, I forgot, and I do it every year and I'm supposed to. Nope. This is the very first time you've ever celebrated Hanukkah 2023. So you get to mess up, because it's the very first time you've done it. It's almost 2024, you're right, Addie, and you get to think about next year it'll be different. Addie, how old are you? 7. So last time you were 7 years old at Christmas, what did you do? Celebrate. Wait a second, you were 7 at Christmas before? No. Oh, you were 6. So this year it might be different because you're a whole different age. So let yourself feel that little seed, and you can carry it in your hand, you can carry it in your tummy, in your chest, but also know whatever it is, you're enough. And think about Pete's words. You're whole, and you're worthy, and you're loved. Thank you, everyone.
Each week, we practice generosity as a source of joyful living by splitting our offering plate with UUCP and a local organization that shares our values. For December 2023, our Share the Plate partner is Housing First, part of the Human Services Campus, which serves nearly 1,000 individuals every day to address housing instability. Over the past year, 13,000 people in Maricopa County became unhoused. In response to a court order, Phoenix's largest homeless encampment, The Zone, was cleared in early November. Housing First has been working outreach to build trustworthy relationships with each individual to find shelter, storage, and services. Your contribution is a tangible commitment of helping Housing First create a world where all of us have enough. For all that you give, we are so grateful. Ushers, thank you for your willing hands in helping us pass the plate. that really was beautiful, and it was arranged by our own Benji Messer. It's an important practice in this community to make time to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person has value and each person's experience matters. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or with tears, all of you matters. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to share a joy or a sorrow, please type it into the chat. A brief note of what it is, of what's in your heart today, and I will read aloud what you share. If you're in the sanctuary today, you can fill out a joy and sorrow card located at the front table over there at the start of service to participate next week. As we open this sacred time to amplify our joys and lessen our sorrows with communal care, let us center ourselves with a moment of stillness. We have a sorrow from Sylvia Sharma, who is sad because Tupac Enrique Acosta, the leader of the Tonatiuh Center, died. He was very important to Sylvia personally and to this congregation. He was an indigenous leader and was part of the effort in 2010 to fight against Joe Arpaio and Arizona's draconian immigration laws. We send our condolences to Sylvia and all who loved Tupac Enrique Acosta. As we wait for some joys and sorrows to show up on Zoom, I will read some that we have here. We have a sorrow from Cheryl Thomas. Our beloved cat of 18 years, Tostito, died earlier this week. He went peacefully at home, surrounded by our family. Thank you. I'm so sorry, Cheryl. We do have a sorrow from Neil Douglas. Sadly, today is the 4th anniversary of the passing of my wife, my soulmate for 35 years, mother of my 3 children. She was only 54. But I have decided to celebrate her life and my family. Yesterday was my 62nd birthday, the first birthday that I have celebrated in 4 years. And she would have wanted it that way. We have a joy from Peyton, who is at home today. This week I had the great pleasure of what is the first of many final school choir performances to come. We sang a Camelback Bible Church this past Thursday, and the turnout was amazing. Also, he's got a belated congrats to Brigida. He just heard from Danny and Liz a little bit ago about your success. Congratulations. We do have some joys today here in the sanctuary. We have a joy from Kathy Kopak. She visited her brother and good friend over Thanksgiving, and she saw her son and his wife this past week, and she had not seen them since 2021. A joy from Dale and Bunny. We are thrilled to be celebrating our 2nd wedding anniversary. 2 years ago this weekend, we were married in our beautiful UUCP sanctuary with all of you on Zoom. Happy to still be connected. A joy from Patrick Alsman. He is wishing joy to all on Human Rights Day. And on Zoom, a joy. Marlene and Rob Katz joined the auction event yesterday to explore many of the murals around Phoenix, hosted by Vince and Kathleen. It was a great way to learn about our new city and to meet and spend quality time with other members of this community. I'll wait just a few more moments, see if anybody else on Zoom would like to share anything. In the meantime, we can think about all the joys and sorrows in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls. and for all the joys and sorrows, even the ones that lie in the quiet sanctuary of our hearts, we send our love. Let us send our love to each other. I love when we do that. I really do.
I invite you at this time to allow yourself to sink into your seat. Lower your gaze or close your eyes. Relax your spine. Let your hips sink into the chair, the couch, the wheelchair seat, the floor. You are held by earth. Say to your body, to yourself, rest now. Yourselves are filled with a love beyond sight, beyond hearing, beyond touch. This love surrounds you, supports you, is always there within you. Say to yourself, rest in this love. Find your breath. The air you expel sends invisible particles of you out into the planet for someone else to inhale. Your lungs are filling with ancient air, carrying the wisdom and compassion of all who have ever lived, all who have ever lived, all the prophets known and unknown, the peacemakers known and unknown. Breathe in compassion. Breathe out love. Breathe in compassion. Breathe out love. Breathe in compassion. Breathe out love for those suffering from war in the Middle East. Breathe in compassion. Breathe out love for those suffering from war in Europe. Breathe in compassion. Breathe out love for those suffering from war in Africa. Breathe in compassion. Breathe out love for those suffering from violence everywhere. Breathe in compassion. Breathe out love for those who are suffering. In this season of light, may we remember that within us resides the ability to make a difference in someone's life, someone who is suffering. And may we be the bringers of compassion and love. Amen.
We are so grateful to have our strings here with us today. So beautiful. I think we're in good hands for Benji's sabbatical. I really do. Suess. The mere mention of that made-up moniker conjures up depictions of colorful characters conceived by that creative chronicler. Thank you. Grinches as green as eggs with ham, creatures with names like Yertle and Sam. The works of Theodore Dr. Suess Geisel have been with me my whole life, invariably showing up at various touchstones along the way. I remember learning to read with the Foot Book and Hop on Pop, Wet Foot, Dry Foot, Low Foot, High Foot, Pat Cat, Pat sat on cat, Pat Bat, Pat sat on bat. No, Pat, no, don't sit on that. Simple monosyllabic words for emerging readers with vivid illustrations surely captured my imagination. Fast forward all the way to high school. As a junior, I was cast as Horton the Elephant in Seussical the Musical. It was an exhausting experience, but one of the most rewarding of my brief theatrical career. When I graduated college a few years later, I was given the quintessential grad gift, "Oh, the places you'll go." At the time, I didn't give it much thought. College had been taxing. I graduated a semester late, and I wasn't sure where I was going. But I eventually landed on my feet. I got a really fun job at a radio station, and I was content. After a few years, I was offered a job in Flagstaff. My wife, Natasha, and I had just moved to a neat little apartment in a cool part of town 8 months before, and we were already packing up again. I was nervous about this new position and full of doubt about leaving a secure job for one that had so many unknowns. One night, in the midst of stacks upon stacks of boxes, I spotted that book again, "Oh, the Places You'll Go," and I started reading. A few pages in, this verse struck me right where I needed it. When things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew, just go right along. You'll start happening too. And that was it. Somehow, that was all it took. Suddenly, I had the confidence to keep going, to keep believing in myself. Fast forward again. Now I'm a dad, and I read these books to my little lad. The aforementioned Green Eggs and Ham and The Grinch are absolute favorites, and he can spot the cat in the hat with the greatest of ease. Learning to read is a joy with books like these.
Oh, so fun. I am not even going to attempt to follow John. I adore waffles. Does anybody else love waffles? Oh, yeah, I'm in good company. I like the old-fashioned ones, the thin ones especially, the ones that my wife makes, but Belgian waffles are okay too. I've been doing a lot of travel to congregations this fall, and I've had some waffles from those, free breakfast bars. I'm not really supposed to eat them, but who can resist the smell? Each waffle requires a little bit of butter, but above all, a sweet topping. So I'm somewhat particular about this. Jams and jellies are not ideal. Fruit toppings, meh. No nuts. And whipped cream works for dessert waffles, but not so much for breakfast waffles. What I love is syrup, often called maple syrup. I think it's hard to improve the way syrup melts into all those beautiful crevices. So I don't always choose real maple syrup because real maple syrup is often not available. But whenever I see the phrase syrup, I think maple syrup. And I am reminded that maple syrup comes from trees. This fall, one of the places I traveled to was Indiana. And I traveled when many of the leaves had changed color. There were glorious stretches of highway that were just alight. In contrast, when I returned home, I had a greater appreciation for the gently blooming bougainvillea and the wide canopy of our Chilean mesquite. Sometimes we travel just to see nature's grandeur. We come to see it, to hear it, to be inspired, to be soothed. We sometimes rely on nature to cleanse our spirit. We go out into the woods, we sit by the waters, we lose ourselves in birdsong. Nature has become a place to leave our heart pains, the poisons we want to leach from our spirits, a place to renew, a doorway to our inner dialogue with that which we call holy. Nature can be a doorway to our salvation, a word we don't use so much in our Unitarian Universalist congregations, to be saved, to be saved. Reverend Thomas Starr King captured this sense of nature beautifully. Starr King was a Unitarian minister who lived in San Francisco from 1860 to 1864. And as a Unitarian of the 1800s, he saw God's hand everywhere he looked. And in a sermon called The Living Waters of Lake Tahoe, he preached, "To a wearied frame and tired mind, what refreshment there is in the neighborhood of this lake. The air is singularly searching and strengthening. The noble pines, not obstructed by underbrush, enrich the slightest breeze with aroma and music. Grand peaks rise around on which the eye can admire the sternness of everlasting crags and the equal permanence of delicate and feathery snow. Then there's a sense of seclusion from the haunts and cares, of being held on the immense billow of the Sierra at an elevation near the line of perpetual snow, yet finding the air genial and the lowliness clothed with the charm of feeling, the sense of the mystery of the mountain, part of a chain that links the two polar seas, and of the mystery of the water poured into the granite. Oh, this rim is chased with the splendor of perpetual forms and whose bounty, flowing into the Truckee stream, finds no outlet into the ocean, but sinks again into the land. Starr King wrote a lot about nature, and in his numerous books and articles helped Abraham Lincoln decide to create Yosemite. We can define nature as that place we seek out with the express purpose of looking at and experiencing something perfect and maybe perfected. We may plan the trip, take vacation days, drive or fly to get there, but it's also in our backyard too. It's the seeds and bulbs we plant, the Palo Verde we've nurtured since it was a sapling, the oleander we've trimmed so it is just so. A perennial question that I wonder is this: where in this view of nature is the space for squawking mockingbirds who pick up squished French fries from the sidewalk? What about the weeds growing around the metal plates in the streets and in the cracks of our driveways? The moths, attracted by our night-burning lights, who throw themselves against our window screens and want to eat our wool sweaters? What about those pesky mosquitoes pricking our skins and making us itch, and jackrabbits nibbling our gardens and squirrels eating the bird seed we put out? What about dandelions turning to billowy white puffs? There is a story by Dr. Suess called Bipolo Seeds. You might not be familiar with the story because he wrote it for a magazine rather than as a book. Here's how the story starts.
One bright sunny day, a young duck named McCluck had a wonderful, wonderful piece of good luck. He was walking along when he spied on the ground a marvelous scene that is quite seldom found. It was a small silver box, and it looked mighty old. And on top of the box, it was written in gold. Who finds this rare box will be lucky indeed, for inside this box is a Bipolo seed. Plant it and wish, and then count up to 3. Whatever you wish for, whatever it be, will sprout and grow out of a Bipolo tree.
So then, young Duck McCluck thinks about what he needs and decides to wish for duck food for a week. But before he can plant the seed, a cat appears and says, "Stop!" The cat then proceeds to quiz young Duck McCluck as to why he wants so little. Bit by bit, encouraged by the cat, the young duck asks for more and more until finally young Duck McCluck shrieks out,
I wish for 1,000,000 silk towels and 3,000,000 cages for very old owls and 45,202 hamburger buns and a bottle of glue and 4,000,000 satin-lined red rubber boots and 5,000,000 banjos and 6,000,000 flutes, oranges, apples, and all kinds of fruits and 9,000,000,000 Hopalong Cassidy suits. Yes, that's what I wish for. By Jiminy G. And he got so excited and he whirled and he twirled, and that duck got so dizzy and crazy with greed that he waved both his arms and the Bipolo seed slipped out of his fist, flew high in the sky, and landed kerplunk on a river nearby.
and the Bipolo seed floated away. So young Duck McCluck had the right idea. When presented with a single seed, he saw himself in relationship with nature, asking for just what he needed and no more. But in the end, he was taught to see nature as something he could use for his own ends and more. We, as U.S. Americans, have made ourselves the reference point, sometimes for what is worth saving and how much consumption we need for a good life. We have defined a good life sometimes in excess, so that now we can slip unconsciously into assuming what we can afford is what we need. In our culture, nature has become something we segment, lifting bits of it onto a pedestal, wanting to manipulate the rest for our own ends, like young Duck McCluck swayed by cat. If young Duck McCluck had been a Wabiboto, he would have been content with his very first wish, to have enough duck food for a week. A Wabibito is one who follows the philosophy of wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is a hyphenated Japanese word. In 1942, Unitarian-influenced Buddhist philosophy professor D.T. Suzuki described wabi-sabi as an active aesthetical appreciation of poverty. A poverty, in his culturally situated interpretation, meant the idea of getting rid of the need, preferably even the desire for material things. He wrote, "Wabi is to be satisfied with a little hut, a room of 2 or 3 tatami mats like the log cabin of Thoreau, and with a dish of vegetables picked in the neighboring fields, and perhaps to be listening to the pattering of a gentle spring rain." The wabi-sabi today finds beauty in imperfection, in the modest, in the impermanent. Wabi-sabi accepts gently and with deep reverence the cycle of growth, decay, and death. It means to be in tune with nature and in nature, to find beauty in that which is easily overlooked, that which is not sought out. Wabi-sabi provides one way to counter our tendency toward valuing the parts of nature we consider pleasing, grandeur, awe-inspiring. Another way to change our perspective is the Buddhist middle way, which is avoiding extremes of indulgence on one side and asceticism on the other. The concept of enough, sometimes translated as sufficiency, is inherent in Buddhist teachings. Desire can be a source of suffering, while contentment a path to liberation. Enough is enough. We sometimes do not experience, let alone value all of nature. We might reject that which we label as inconvenient or ugly. Sometimes we rip it out without appreciation or giving thanks for what it may offer. Paul Dayton grew up near Tucson. In an essay, he is remembering being a kid frolicking in the desert with his brother, and he remembers his mom saying to see the desert through the eyes of the desert. He writes, "As the cat claws ripped my clothes and skin, and the agaves along the ridge in Upper Pima Canyon bloodied my legs, I realized that they were protecting themselves." Nature reminds us in this time of year when the weather says, "Come outside," or looking out our windows, that we can cultivate our joy in just having enough, even if we have a bipolo seed in our grasp. This season, I am inspired to go out into the desert and to stay overnight. I will take in the land, the sky, the stars, the buttes, the tiniest rocks and minerals between my feet. At night, it will be pitch dark. I will worry if I need to get up in the middle of the night. of coyotes and creepy crawlies and a prickly cactus protecting itself from me. I will listen to my heart beating. I will feel my breath. I will be uncomfortable away from home and be grateful for all that I have. I will remember that I am but one tiny thing on this planet. May that awareness be a gift I give to myself and a challenge to me. Nature, put me in my place. In this season of sometimes excesses, may you find a way to cultivate your mindfulness of what is enough. Namaste. Please rise and body your spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 1010, We Give Thanks.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. For gathered here and those far away, for the time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for the time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
I give thanks for each and every one of you. Would you all sort of look around at one another? Really? Give thanks for this community. Give thanks for those who are on Zoom. Meet Brigitte's mom, who is here. Say what? Tomorrow is her birthday. Oh. All right, wait. Yeah, shall we sing happy birthday? Yes. You ready? Birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Brigitte. Happy birthday to you. May you be content in the abundance of just enough. These are the days we have been given. May we find a way to get outside. Amen.